I want to give you a tour of my collage area in my studio because the fun of collaging is you can find your materials right at home. You don't have to go out and buy anything elaborate. Collage actually comes from the French term papier colle, which means glued paper basically. And over the years, and up into the 70s and also with Picasso, collaging has become an art form, a fine art form, rather than a craft. So materials are readily available right around your house, or you may even find some interesting materials in the street. Little snippets of paper, old billboards. So the first thing is a ground. You need a box, a piece of cardboard, a piece of masonite, something sturdy that will support any kind of weight that you might apply. I have some samples here of different papers. You can of course use things out of nature, some leaves, money pennies, string, pine needles. Tissue paper glues down really well. It's a good way to start. You'll need an assortment of brushes. The glue that I use, that's a jar of it right there, all mixed up, is a water-based product. Methyl cellulose. Methyl cellulose comes with instructions. It's probably a replacement for the old rabbit skin glue that people used to use. I don't do that anymore so much. So that's a really good, you just apply it flat to the surface and get your different pieces of tissue paper stuck down firm. You'll also need a really good pair of scissors. You can't use dull scissors or you'll tear the paper in a weird way. Tweezers are important, a little ruler. You might need a screwdriver, tiny screwdriver if you're removing hinges and things. Say you have a box that has hinges, you want to remove them, the tiny screws. You'll need a palette. Paper palettes are good because you can dispose of the residue. On here there's some smears of wax with pigment and some oil paint and some acrylic paint. Once you establish your design, you're going to want to have different kinds of stenciling is a wonderful thing, spelling out words, stenciling shapes. It's a great way to get a perfect circle. You might want some lettering. I have a Mod Podge here. Other glues are good if you find that the methyl cellulose doesn't hold firmly to something heavier. You might want to try a glob of Mod Podge. I am dedicated to Q-tips. I use them not only to paint, but they're great to pick up smears. You can clean in around something very easily. So I consider Q-tips to be an art supply. Again, we're talking about very economical materials here. You could work with children. You can spontaneously find some things that you've been wanting to save, but you weren't sure what to do with them. Perhaps part of a letter that someone sent you, an old envelope, receipts. Great as a personal collage. There's some more stenciling. I'm going to just swing over here because comic books, great resource. The old comic books, the paper is very good for just cutting up for the colors. They have that wonderful sort of unusual color tone. Old magazines that have interesting colors and shapes. And over here, an assortment of things that you could use, just apply. I have some old paper dolls, old letters, old boat letters actually, tacks, kitty cat. Larger things here, bigger letters, glitter. Anne Brigadier herself used a lot of sand and textural materials. Of course, she was living in Provincetown, so she applied grasses and small shells and things to her collage. Some paper doll clothing. And when I'm finished with a collage, I like to use Dorland's wax. It's a cold wax. Some people use the hot wax, which I've done also, but cold wax you apply with a brush or just with the tip of your finger. The pigment on top came from France. My son sent me this incredible ochre-based paint that can be nicely mixed with wax. And you'll probably need an old sock to polish it up in the end. So it's very simple, very fun. You come up with your own ideas. You don't need me to tell you what to do. Just start. Find 6 things around the house and just apply them to a surface, and I'm sure it'll be just really fun.